Well, hello. I want to welcome you to my review of the Senator Matte Gray and Silver pen. This is a vintage pen from the 1970s, and for the past week or so, it's been my daily writer, and I've had it for a long time and just thought it's finally time to review it. So let's dive into the pen. If videos like this appeal to you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. If you'd like to comment about this pen, or perhaps Senator or Mertz and Krell in general, I would invite you to leave a comment down below. So let's take a look at the pen. So this is a Senator Matte Gray and Matte Gray and Silver. You can see it's a Senator because says so right there. Now, I have a little struggle there because senator is a word with a specific meaning in my country. It's a government official. There's, 100 of them elected to represent states, two for every state, for those of you who aren't familiar with U.S. form of government. And I was going to look up what it meant in German, and right at this moment I'm thinking, whoops, I didn't. Okay, just from a quick perusal on Google, it looks like it's government official there too. I'll have to research that more thoroughly, so maybe that's something else. If you want to add something to my comments, feel free. I didn't even think of that till now, but what I was about to say till I got distracted was that I listened to a German person speak, and he pronounced it senator. Well, of course, because he's speaking German. And that actually is part of the problem I had with this, researching this pen and this manufacturer, is when I search it on Google, I get politics. And, the very first link, honestly, was for Kevin Kramer, who was one of the people running for senator in my state this year. So make of that what you will, but you have to, and that's when I type Senator fountain pen too, so I don't know what Kevin Kramer has to do with fountain pens, but that's what I got. I do like to usually provide some information about these manufacturers, especially if they're lesser known, but it turns out this is a pretty well-known modern company, a major ballpoint pen manufacturer. They still exist. They just don't make pens like this anymore. But I couldn't find a lot of information about their older models anywhere. Maybe there's a website out there. I got a couple of helpful links when I crowdsourced last week, but just not a lot of information. Oh, and I should mention that they do have, Senator still has a few fountain pens hidden in their products. The original company was Mertz and Krell. I'm going to steal some information off my notebook here, so I'll look down. They changed their name in 2006. Under the Mertz and Krell name, they sold, besides Senator, they sold Melby, Diplomat. Melby and Diplomat pens. I couldn't, in my quick look, because I really didn't care, because I don't own either of those brands, I did a quick look to see if Diplomat is still associated. I didn't see anything on the website, so I don't know. Maybe you know that. I wasn't interested enough to pursue it very far. And I will just say that the company started, originally it was a pharmaceutical company, and established in 1908. And then by the 1920s, they, for some reason that wasn't clear from the website, started into pen making, which they still do. And actually, there is a pharmaceutical group still under that name that is investigating a lot of Alzheimer's research. So kudos to them, because, if I can be political for a minute, I think that's an important area of research. Now, the company, when you look at the plastic on this pen, like I said, I couldn't find a lot of information. I did find detailed information from a sales website, myuberpens.com, so I would love to know their source, because they seem to be a good place to find information about these uncommon pens. But this plastic, you can see it's kind of textured. It's a matte plastic. Apparently it's slightly giving and elastic. It's also a very tough plastic, so at least MyOberPens.com thinks this pen will last for a few generations. What you don't see here, there's a segmented ink window. It's full of ink. Not as full as it was, but it's full enough you can't see it. And that's why, the grip is same material. And the nib is, I guess we could call it semi-hooded. In pens in use, I think I incorrectly called it a wing nib. The wing nib is actually a specific nib shape, which this is not quite. And I just find it interesting. It's got the finial on the piston turning knob is this design, and I have seen that on a couple of the Senator pens. And just like a Lamy 2000, this is the piston turning knob is well hidden until you're ready. The cap, other than Senator Germany written on the clip, well, let's wipe off the fingerprint there, nothing else. The finial is plain. The cap itself is supposed to be silver-plated steel. It doesn't post with the greatest of clicks. That's if we're looking for things to complain about, or cap with the greatest of clicks. It's really hard actually to know exactly how far to push it on. I think when I originally got it, I was pushing it on too far, and then thinking the pen leaked. Well, every time I'd pull it off, there'd be the suction. It would pull ink out of the nib and into the cap, and then I'd cap it, get it on the grip, and it was a mess. So I don't push it on as far, and we all seem to be happier. This is a pen that actually is very nicely weighted when it's posted. Again, it doesn't click to post. You don't really know exactly how far to push it on, but very sharp-looking pen. So now that you've taken a look at the features of the pen, let's see how it writes. I think I forgot to mention while I was twirling the pen around that this is a gold nib, probably a fine or an extra fine. This is not a nib, though, for lots of flex. There isn't even a lot of line variation. It's just a good, reliable writer, maybe for writing smaller. And like I said, I'm using it as my daily writer for the moment. When it runs dry, I'll put in something else. As far as wetness and flow, this pen has no trouble keeping up. Do a smear test on it. Oops. Of course, I let that go a little long there when I forgot my second crosshatch. It's not a particularly wet writer. It's just reliable and decent. Reverse writer. It does it. It's I'd definitely call that an extra fine. It's not particularly scratchy. It just does a good job. Now let's go into a longer form quote. Through the magic of editing, I actually had to run upstairs and grab my notebook of quotes. So I missed that one. So the writing experience with this pen it's a very nice pen. It writes very well. It's not exactly a unicorn skipping across ice, but it has the right amount of feedback, but not too much. You can tell you're writing on paper, if that makes any sense. I really enjoy this pen a lot. Most often what's in this pen when I ink it up is a blue-black ink. I don't know, for some reason in my head it just feels like it needs a blue-black ink. But this past week it's been kind of fun using it as a daily writer pen. Now, keep in mind when you're using vintage, they're always going to be a little smaller than a more modern pen. But that said, this isn't some skinny little runt either. It's a nicely sized pen. If something ever happened to it, I don't know if I'd be able to replace it. I'm always uncomfortable starting a sentence that way when I'm talking about a vintage pen. But I would hate to lose this pen. This is one of the ones, if I were to tier my collection in favorites and not favorites, and just middle of the road pens, this is in the top tier of the favorites. I really like it. It doesn't flex, it doesn't do anything fancy, but it's just a very nice pen to write with. So if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. If you'd like to comment on this pen, or perhaps on Mertz and Krell, or Senator, or anything else related to this video, please feel free to leave a comment down below. And I thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.